Welcome back, my dear students and friends. Today we'll be discussing the Aichi Target and its linkage with Ramsar Convention. I am Professor Rusilias, working in Department of Wildlife Sciences, Aligarh Muslim University, and we are discussing in the lecture of this series. We are discussing about the Convention on Biological Diversity and its different protocols. We had discussed the Cartagena protocol before this class. So now it's time to discuss about the Aichi Targets and its linkage with Ramsar Convention. So welcome back. What are the Aichi targets? So Aichi biodiversity targets are a set of 20 specific goals established to address the alarming rate of biodiversity loss and degradation worldwide. That is the Aichi target. These targets were established as part of the CBD to address the ongoing global loss of biodiversity. These were adopted on the 10th conference of the project COP10 to the CBD held in Nagoya, Japan in 2010. So all the Aichi targets were adopted in Nagoya, Japan in 2010. The target are named after the Aichi prefecture where the conference took place. So this was Aichi was the prefecture where the conference actually took place. These targets aim to address the loss of biodiversity and promote its conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity. So we discussed there are 20 Aichi targets. To 2010 it was adopted in Nagoya, Japan. So the significance of the Aichi target: conservation of biodiversity, preservation of species. The target aimed to prevent the extinction of known threatened species, ensuring the survival of Earth's diverse flora and fauna, production of ecosystem. By safeguarding ecosystem, the targets contribute to maintain the delicate balance of nature and the services that they provide, such as clean air, water and food. These are the ecosystem services we are getting from the environment. Sustainable development, one was the conservation biodiversity and then the sustainable development. Sustainable development means economic benefits and human well-being. So economic benefits: biodiversity is essential for many economic sectors, includes agriculture, forestry, fisheries, tourism and pharmaceuticals. Protecting biodiversity can contribute to sustainable economic development. So if we are protecting the biodiversity, means we are contributing to sustainable economic development and human well-being. Definitely we are directly connected with the biodiversity conservation. So sustainable development means it is directly connected to the human well-being. Biodiversity provides numerous ecosystem services that are vital for human health and well-being, such as food security, medicines and clean air and water. So we are totally dependent on the natural resources, nature and the natural resources, and everything we are using are coming from the nature, and nature means biodiversity. So biodiversity, so that is why we have to think about the sustainable development, so that the we as well as the nature can exist together coolly. So climate change mitigation and adaptation, carbon sequestration, so conservation of biodiversity, sustainable development and climate change mitigation and adaptation. Carbon sequestration: healthy ecosystem such as forest and wetland play a crucial role in capturing and storing carbon dioxide, helping to mitigate climate change. And climate resilience: biodiversity can enhance the resilience of ecosystem to climate change impacts such as extreme weather event and rising sea level. So global stability and security, resource management. Biodiversity is essential for the sustainable management of natural resources, contributing to global stability and security. And conflict prevention. Protecting biodiversity can help prevent conflicts over natural resources and contribute to peace and stability. So, cultural and spiritual values, cultural heritage. Biodiversity is often closely linked to cultural and spiritual values, providing a sense of place, identity, and connection to the natural world. Cultural spiritual values, and then inspiration and recreation. Biodiversity offers opportunity for recreation, inspiration, and spiritual connection, enhancing quality of life. So, Aichi Targets strategic goal. This goal seeks to address the root cause of biodiversity loss, such as unsustainable consumption pattern, population growth, and climate change. So, the Aichi target are grouped into 5 strategic goal A, B, C, D, E, 5 strategic goal. Goal A is addressing the underlying cause of biodiversity loss by mainstreaming biodiversity across government and the society. Strategic goal B is reduce the direct pressure on biodiversity and promote sustainable use. Strategic goal C is improve the status of biodiversity by safeguarding ecosystem, species and genetic diversity. Strategic goal D is enhance the benefits to all from biodiversity and ecosystem services. And strategic goal E, enhance implementation through participatory planning, knowledge management and capacity building. So, strategic goal A is address the underlying cause of biodiversity loss by mainstreaming biodiversity across government and the society. So, target 1 of strategic goal A, target 1 is by 2020, people are aware of the value of biodiversity and the step they can take to conserve and use it sustainably. Target 2, by 2020, biodiversity value have been integrated into national and local development and poverty reduction strategies and planning process and are being incorporated into national accounting as appropriate and reporting system. Target 3, by 2020, incentives including subsidize harmful to biodiversity and eliminated phases out or reform in order to minimize or avoid negative impact, and positive incentives for the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity are developed and applied, consistent and in harmony with the convention and other relevant international obligation, taking into account national socio-economic condition. Target 4, by 2020, government, business and stakeholder at all level have taken a step to achieve or have implemented plans for sustainable production and consumption and have kept the impact of use of natural resources well within safe ecological limit. So, strategic goal B is reduce the direct pressure on biodiversity and promote sustainable use. Under this, target 5 says by 2020, the rate of loss of all natural habitats including forests is at least half and where feasible brought close to zero, and degradation and fragmentation is significantly reduced. Target 6, by 2020, all fish and invertebrates stocks and aquatic plants are managed and harvested sustainably, legally and applying ecosystem based approach. So that overfishing is avoided, recovery plans and measures are in place for all depleted species. Fisheries have no significant adverse impact on threatened species and vulnerable ecosystem, and the impact of fisheries on stocks, species and ecosystem are within safe ecological limits. Target 7, by 2020, area under agriculture, aquaculture and forestry are managed sustainable, ensuring conservation of biodiversity. Target 8, by 2020, pollution including including from excess nutrients, has been brought to level that are not determined to ecosystem functioning and biodiversity. Target 9 of um, Target 9, by 2020, invasive alien species and pathway are identified and prioritized. Priority species are controlled or eradicated, and measures are taken in place to manage pathways to prevent their introduction and establishment. And the target 10 is about the by 2015 the multiple anthropogenic pressure on coral reef and other vulnerable ecosystem impacted by climate change on ocean acidification are minimized so as to maintain their integrity and functioning. So, a strategic goal, the third strategic goal, that is the strategic goal C, is about to improve the status of biodiversity by safeguarding ecosystem, species and genetic diversity. So, target 11, by 2020, 17% of terrestrial and inland water and 10% of the coastal and marine areas, especially areas of particular importance for biodiversity and ecosystem services, are conserved through effectively and equitable managed ecologically representative and well connected system of protected area and other effective area based conservation measure and integrated into the wider landscape and seascape. And the target 12, by 2020, the extinction of known threatened species has been prevented and their conservation status, particularly of those most in decline, has been improved and sustained. The target 13, by 2020, the genetic diversity of cultivated plants. Target 11 is talking about the wetland, and target uh, 12 is talking about the threatened species. Target 13 is about the genetic diversity of cultivated plants and farmed and domesticated animals and of wide relative, including other socio-economically as well as culturally valuable species is maintained, and strategies have been developed and implemented for minimizing genetic erosion and safeguarding their genetic diversity. So, strategic goal D, enhance the benefits to all from biodiversity and ecosystem services. Target 14, by 2020, ecosystem that provide essential services including services related to water and contribute to health, livelihood and well-being are restored and safeguarded, taking into account the need of women, indigenous and local communities and the poor and vulnerable. Target 15 is about by 2020 ecosystem resilience and the contribution of biodiversity to carbon stock has been enhanced through conservation and restoration, including restoration of at least 15% of the degraded ecosystem, thereby contributing to climate change mitigation and adaptation and to combating desertification. And the target 16 of strategic goal D is by 2015 the Nagoya Protocol on access to genetic resources and the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from utilization is enforced and operational, consistent with national legislation. And the last goal, strategic goal E, is enhanced implementation through participatory planning, knowledge management and capacity building. By 2015, target 17 is by 2015, each party has developed, adopted as a policy instrument and has commenced implementing an effective participatory and updated national biodiversity strategy and action plan. Target 18 is about by 2020 the traditional knowledge, innovation and practices of indigenous and local communities relevant for the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity and their customary use of biological resources are represented subject to national legislation and relevant international obligations and fully integrated and reflected in the implementation of the convention with the full and effective participation on indigenous and local communities at all relevant level. Target 19, by 2020 knowledge, the science base and technologies relating to biodiversity, its value, functioning status and trend, and the consequences of its loss are improved, widely shared and transferred and applied. So these were the 5 strategic goals of target 20. There are 20 targets and 5 strategic goals. Under strategic goal 5, the target 20 is by 2020 the mobilization of financial resources for effectively implementing the strategies plan for biodiversity 2011-2020 from all sources and in accordance with the consolidated and agreed process in strategies for resource mobilizing should increase sustainable from the current level. These target will subject to change contingent to resource need assessment to be developed and reported by parties. So, this is the figure which is showing the conceptual timeline between implementation of measure to address all strategic goal. So, goal A, B, C, D, E and the outcome of those measures. The blue line represent the evolution of pressure on biodiversity and the orange line evolution of biodiversity status. The grey line represent the evolution of outcome of the action under the different strategic goal. Since implementation, the dashed ending of the arrow represent the prevalence of outcomes. So, this is the source data taken from the progress toward the Aichi biodiversity target from the ministry websites. So, what is the progress and the challenges? The Aichi biodiversity target, while ambitious, face significant challenges in their implementation. While some progress was made, many of the targets were not fully met by 2020 deadline. This was due to combination of factors including lack of funding. Funding is always a problem in all the convention, in all the targets, in all the achievements. So, lack of funding, adequate funding was often insufficient to support biodiversity conservation efforts. Inadequate implementation, many countries struggle to effectively implement biodiversity conservation policies and strategies. Competing priorities, economic development and other pressing social issues often took precedence over biodiversity conservation. Limited awareness and understanding, public awareness and understanding of biodiversity and its importance were often lacking. Despite these challenges, some notable progress was made in certain areas such as establishment of protected area, reduction of habitat loss, improved species conservation, increased awareness. So, establishment of protected area, the global network of protected area expanded, although the effectiveness of these areas varied. Reduction of habitat loss, deforestation rates were reduced in some regions, but habitat loss remained a significant threat. Improved species conservation. Conservation efforts helped improve the status of some threatened species. Increased awareness, public awareness of biodiversity issues increased through more work was needed to translate this into action. While the Aichi targets were not fully achieved, the progress made provide a fundamental for future effort to protect biodiversity. Coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework adopted in 2022 build on the Aichi target and set the more ambitious goal for the coming decade. Ramsar Convention, Aichi target and the Ramsar Convention, how it is linked with the Ramsar Convention. We already discussed that one of the target is saying for the conservation of the wetlands, conservation of the aquatic ecosystem. Ramsar Convention in an international treaty that focus on the conservation and sustainable use of wetland. It was adopted in 1971 in the Iranian city of Ramsar and is known as the Convention on Wetland and also known as the Ramsar Convention on the Wetland. It was named after the country where the convention took place. So, wetlands are area where water is the primary factor controlling the environment and associated plant and animal life. They include marshes, swamp, peatland and other areas. They are naturally or artificially flooded. So, wetlands are basically the lung of the area, lung of the forest, lung of the earth. So, Ramsar sites, the convention encouraged countries to designate wetlands or international important as Ramsar site, and these sites are protected area that meets specific criteria such as their ecological, botanical, zoological or hydrological significance. Importance of wetland. Wetlands play a crucial role in the biodiversity, ecosystem services, economic benefits, cultural and recreational value. So, biodiversity means they provide habitat for a wide variety of plants and animals, and ecosystem services, they offer services such as water purification, flood control, carbon sequestration and climate refuge regulation. Economic benefits, wetlands support various economic activities including agriculture, fisheries and tourism. Cultural and recreational value, they have cultural and recreational significance for many communities. Principle of Ramsar Convention is wise use, international cooperation and public awareness. Wise use means wetlands should be managed in a way that promotes their sustainable use, and international cooperation, countries should cooperate to protect and manage the wetlands. And the third is the public awareness. The public should be aware of the importance of wetland and their convention. Wetlands are not the wasteland. They are the lung of the environment, and most of the wetlands are the refuge for most of the migratory species. So, linkage between Aichi Target and Ramsar Convention. So, Aichi Biodiversity Target and the Ramsar Convention are two important international agreements that work together to protect biodiversity, particularly in wetland ecosystem. Their shared goal, complementary approaches and synergies in implementation contribute to a more comprehensive and effective approaches to biodiversity conservation. By working together, these agreements can help to ensure the biodiversity is protected for future generation. Shared goals of biodiversity conservation. What are the shared goals? The Aichi Target and the Ramsar Convention share the common goal of biodiversity conservation, but they focus on different aspects of biodiversity. The Ramsar Convention specifically targets wetland ecosystem, while the Aichi Target provide a broader framework of the biodiversity protection, and wetland is part of the Aichi Target. Wetland is the part of the Aichi Target. So, complementary approach, the Ramsar Convention provides specific guidelines for the conservation of wetlands, while the Aichi Target offer a more general framework for biodiversity protection. The complementary approach allows for a more comprehensive approach to biodiversity conservation. Synergy in implementation. Effective implementation of the Aichi Target often requires the protection of wetland ecosystem. The protection of wetland ecosystem is essential for achieving many of Aichi Target, and for example, Target 7 aims to ensure that protected area are effectively managed and wetland ecosystem are often included in protected area. The Ramsar Convention can provide guidelines and support for management of these areas, ensuring that they are conserved in a way that benefit both biodiversity and human well-being. So, contribution to sustainable development, both agreements contribute to sustainable development by recognizing the importance of biodiversity and ecosystem services. Wetland in particular play a crucial role in providing ecosystem services such as water filtration, flood control and carbon sequestration. So, these are the importance of the wetlands. By protecting and restoring wetland, we can help to ensure that these essential services continue to be provided. Collaborative efforts are the Ramsar Convention and the CBD often collaborate on initiatives to protect biodiversity. This collaboration can help to ensure that the two agreements are implemented effectively and that their goals are aligned. So, examples of the linkage, here are some specific examples for linkage between Aichi Target and Ramsar Convention. So, Target 7 protected area. The Ramsar Convention encouraged the designation of wetland as Ramsar site, which are protected area. Linkage. Many Ramsar sites are also included in National Protected Area System, which help to ensure their conservation and sustainable management. They align with Target 7 of the Aichi Target, which aims to ensure that protected area are effectively and equitably managed and ecologically representative. So, Target 9 of Aichi Target, sustainable use of biodiversity. If you are talking about the sustainable use of the biodiversity, the Ramsar Convention also promotes the sustainable use of wetland, recognizing their ecological, economically, culturally and scientific importance. The linkage sustainable wetland management can contribute to the sustainable use of biodiversity in general. For example, wetlands can provide ecosystem services such as water filtration, flood control and carbon sequestration, which can benefit human communities and support sustainable development. This aligns with Target 9 of the Aichi Target, which aims to ensure the sustainable use of biodiversity. So, that is how the CBT, Aichi Target and the Ramsar are connected. Target 11 of Aichi Target is the sustainable agriculture, forestry and fisheries. Wetlands can play a crucial role in supporting sustainable agriculture, forestry and fisheries. For example, wetlands can help to regulate water flow, maintain soil fertility and provide habitat for fish and other aquatic species. Linkage. The Ramsar Convention can provide guidance on how to manage wetland in a way that supports sustainable agriculture, forestry and fisheries. This aligns with Target 11 of the Aichi Target, which aims to increase the area under sustainable agriculture, forestry and fisheries. Target 15, ecosystem resilience. Target 15 of Aichi Target is the ecosystem resilience, and the Ramsar Convention, wetlands are important for maintaining ecosystem resilience. So, both are matching as they can help to buffer the impact of climate change and other disturbance. Linkage. The Ramsar Convention can help to ensure that wetlands are managed in a way that maintain their resilience, and this aligns with Target 15 of the Aichi Target, which aims to enhance ecosystem resilience. So, thank you very much. This was about the Aichi Target and Aichi Target linkage with the So, this is all about the Aichi Target and the linkage with the Ramsar Convention. So, thank you very much. Hope you have enjoyed my class, and we will be meeting our next class about the Aichi Target with linkage with different protocols. Thank you very much.